Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Welcome to Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Josh. We are talking waivers, of course, and of course, all the injury news that happened for week 8. And no, we're not talking about injured egos or our hearts or brains. If you went to sleep like I did on Sunday night, you got a 99% chance to win. And then CD Lamb scores 38 points in the fourth quarter. I can't help you with that. But I can help you with your waivers moving into the next week, which is what we're here for. We got some big news, some big injuries. Do we have an update on Stephon Diggs? I don't know. You got to tune in to find out. Before I go any further, let me bring in the Cody Rhodes of this show, the Mr. Three-piece suit himself, Justin Barley. What's going on, man?
It's only 2 piece. I don't have a vest on right now.
Oh, you don't have a vest?
I can get a vest if you want me to get a vest to be the 3-piece.
Tomorrow.
I'll consider it for tomorrow. We'll see how it looks. I might
I'm
go
still
black.
wearing last night's clothes. Do you steam your clothes? Do you iron them?
No.
No. I've never ironed anything in my life. It's shocking, right?
I hang them up and that's it.
So you're not one of those guys who I'm being dead serious. Who you put them on a hanger in your car, on the way to work. You know those people that they're driving to work, the commute to work, and they put their jacket on the hanger on that clip in your car that nobody ever uses ever, except for that one dude. Is that you?
Yeah, I have before, but not to work. If it's to a nice wedding or something, I'll put the suit jacket on there so it doesn't get all crumpled up. But I also put the suit jacket in a suitcase
bag?
over the weekend.
Okay.
Folded it up, put it in a suitcase for our show on Friday, and then just my stuff wasn't working Friday, so we didn't record, obviously.
Yeah, we had a day off because of Justin. But let's get right into it, man. We have a ton of it. Not actually, we don't have a ton of injuries. We have a ton of updates on injuries.
Yeah, a lot of updates this week. First one, the big one, in my opinion, Stephon Diggs went out with a knee injury on a non-contact play. Ball nowhere near them. They fear it could be a torn ACL. He's supposed to have an MRI yesterday. News has not come out. This is always the time that news comes out about players like this. So we could see this. Just a reminder, last week we didn't see news about Brandon Ayuk officially until Wednesday or Thursday about his ACL and all of those injuries. So, but yeah, fear is Stephon Diggs has a torn ACL. Which sucks. He was wide receiver 39 on the season, 18 over the last 3 weeks, rostered in 99% of the leagues. So DK Metcalf is optimistic to return for week 9. So that's big news for a lot of people. Christian McCaffrey has this week off for the bye, but his practice window will open up next week, and he could return after that bye in week 10. Derek Carr will practice tomorrow and could return this week. Jordan Love is dealing with a groin injury. So that's something to watch, and we have some information on that later in this show. Brian Thomas Jr. Well, we have a fix for that, a temporary fix if you have Jordan Love.
All right, gotcha.
Brian Thomas Jr. was supposed to miss 2 to 4 weeks as of last night, and now he's just considered day-to-day with a chest injury. So that's something to monitor. Day-to-day could mean day-to-day for the next 2 to 4 weeks. We don't know. So those are all players you should be watching. Guys that we think will be fine. Deebo Samuel's considered day-to-day. He had a ribs and oblique injury. He gets injured and then he plays. So I don't know what to do about Deebo right now. Alan Lazard has a chest injury. He is considered week to week. T. Higgins has a quad injury. He's considered to be day-to-day. These are guys that I'm not really worried about. Find somebody to slot in there while they're out, but when they come back, they are the guy.
You know what? T, sit out all year. We're done. Sit out. We're done. I'm so sick of T. Higgins. Sit out. Just quit football. Do something else.
Last one, Christian Kirk out for the season with a broken collarbone.
That's awful. Man, they're taking hits on that receiver core over there in Jacksonville. Evan Ingram season. Anyway, let's get into the waivers.
Yeah, let's do that.
Again, we just went down the list of injuries. Nothing new, nothing crazy. This is the first week, and I cannot believe we were complaining via text about 2 hours ago. We're like, man, there's nothing to talk about. There's no injuries. It's like, wait, isn't that a good thing?
It is a good thing. There wasn't like, oh my God, crazy injuries out the wazoo. Like it's Stephon Diggs and Christian Kirk. You're replacing those two guys. The rest of these guys might miss this week. They might play this week. We truly don't know yet. We probably won't know until Friday's show. So finding waivers this week of people who to add, like this is probably the worst week for waivers.
Or the best week for waivers, since you don't need to really put in a claim. If
Yeah, fair.
think about it that way. Like, oh, no one got hurt on my team. I'm good this week.
Fantasy Pros rated this week a D for waivers.
Listen, I'll tell you this, and this is personal. This is my life. Every Tuesday around 10 o'clock, I'm like, oh, waivers. And then you go down the endless list of sleeper because you're in like 50 leagues and you're just going through it. And it's endless. Tonight, I'm not doing anything. I'm not touching any. I'm not saying you don't need to. It's just I was very fortunate and I didn't lose any of these players that we spoke about today. So I'm so fortunate. But we're going to talk about these guys for your help, of course. The first guy on our list is Cedric Tillman. Out of nowhere, like an RKO, just drops freaking 28.9 points on everybody. Again, out of nowhere. This is awesome. This is great. This is because of Jamus Winston, of course, which we will talk about pretty soon. I am loving the chemistry that Jamus brings to that team overall. And of course, it's Cedric Tillman, but this goes into Cedric Tillman. Jamus is not afraid to sling the ball. And Cedric Tillman seems like to be their deep threat. Jerry Jeudy's just a possession guy at this point. Elijah Moore's a non-factor. Cedric Tillman is that deep guy that can get down the field and stretch the field. We saw, if you watched the game like I did, Jamus threw a pick, game was over, yada, yada, yada. Very next play or very next possession, boom, Tillman for like a bajillion yards, touchdown. That's what he brings to this offense. And that's why Cedric Tillman, if you need wide receiver help, if you're worried about, Christian Kirk not coming back, if you roster T. Higgins, you're just completely done with that bum. If you rostered Allen Lazard and now he's been phased out of that offense, Cedric Tillman's a great fill-in and could be your wide receiver 3 moving forward.
He really could be wide receiver 10 over the last 3 weeks, wide receiver 3 last week with that 28.9. Not fully out of nowhere. He scored 18.1 last week, but he hasn't scored more than 1.5 over the previous 6 weeks.
That's why it's out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone could do 1 week.
If you didn't see last week and then you just saw this week, you're like, oh my God. Cedric Tillman is leading his team in targets since week 6, which is not surprising just because of how well he's been playing. He has 21 targets, Elijah 19, and Jerry Jeudy with 17. They have an easy matchup with the Chargers this week. It is favorable for the wide receiver position. So Tillman only rostered in 20% of the league of leagues. This is a guy you replace Stephon Diggs with, sitting in right there in your wide receiver 3 slot. This is somebody that I will be going out in 4 leagues I know of to see if he is available.
Yeah, I will not put in waiver claims. That's not even a joke. Just because I don't again, nothing happened. But if if you do, that's what we're gonna go with here. Next guy on our list, Bo Nix, man. And I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand this. I can't comprehend it. My brain can't wrap around Bo Nix being the quarterback 2 last week, past 3 weeks being the quarterback. I cannot, and I refuse to understand this. But apparently it's a thing now. It's a thing.
This is somebody that literally just came onto the scene. I mean, he's been there. He's been doing stuff all season, but Bo Nix being QB6 over the last 3 weeks is literally insane. I mean, we've seen some big games. We've seen a 19-point game against Tampa Bay in week 3. We've seen the 23-point game in week 5. If you even go back 4 weeks, Bo Nix is QB3 on the season over the last 4 weeks, I should say. This is a must add. Like at this point, you need to add him. He is sitting at what's his current rank right now? I should have had that.
Should have had it. While he looks that up, I can filibust real quick. The thing is, he's throwing the ball a ton. Top 10 in passing attempts. That's pretty good from your rookie quarterback in that Sean Payton offense. You know, really average stats though, like nothing that blows you away. His yards per attempt is 32nd, nothing crazy, not really a lot of air yards. He's just being super efficient lately. And that's what you want from your quarterback, efficiency. Don't turn the ball over. Make sure
Right.
you easy throws. And he's been doing that. Where's he at? Did you find it?
If you're looking at a 1 QB league, he is a QB1. He's QB9 on the season right now. This is somebody that is ranked higher than Patrick Mahomes, who's QB20. Caleb Williams is QB21. Dak Prescott's QB19. Jordan Love, QB17. Sam Darnold, QB16. He is ranked way higher than all these guys. He should be a starter in your league right now. And only rostered 32% of the leagues. He's somebody out there. If you have a Jordan Love injury right now, you could go get a Bo Nix right now and slot him in there.
Yeah, and don't forget about this. Last week he didn't do it because he didn't need to. The rushing was not there. He had 4 rushing yards, but he did have a rushing touchdown. But weeks before that, he was over 60 yards rushing in week 6 and week 7. That's huge. That's massive for any quarterback. And when your quarterback can get outside the pocket when needed and can scramble and make plays on the ground, that's just money. Like against New Orleans, 75 yards on the ground. That's basically a touchdown and a half sitting there that you didn't have before. You know, week 6 against the Chargers, 61 yards. That's literally a touchdown if you play in 6 points. So keep that in mind. Like he does give you that rushing upside, but it's not a given. He did have 3 weeks where he didn't even hit double-digit rushing yards because, again, he didn't need to or he was struggling. So that's what you want in your quarterbacks, man, rushing.
Yeah. And if you look at his schedule, he's got a favorable matchup in 2 of the next 3 weeks, with Baltimore and Atlanta giving up some of the most points to quarterbacks and KC giving up some of the least amount. So you're a little bit mixed in there. He's definitely somebody, again, if you have an injury like Jordan Love or you are dealing with a bye week with like Brock Purdy is on his bye week. And who else? Dang it, I had all these things. It's Brock Purdy and Russell Wilson are on their bye weeks this week. This is definitely somebody you could go out and start this week.
Yep, 1,000%. The next guy on our list, a rookie out of, I don't know where he went to college, to be honest with you. I think Florida State. Florida State, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Keon Coleman. He's been doing very well the past couple weeks, kind of. If you need, again, a fill-in for Stephon Diggs, he's been getting targets, 7 targets in each of the last 2 weeks, up from his 4 and 5 he was getting before that. Think about weeks 2 and 3, he only had 1 target a week. That's awful. So you'd like to see 7 and 7, even with the addition of Amari Cooper. I thought for sure Amari Cooper would just kill Coleman's value and Shakir's value. It actually elevated both players. And even Shakir, he should have been on this list as well. That's my fault. I dropped the ball on that one. Maybe he's rostered in more leagues. But both of these guys, Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir, definitely worth a look, or definitely a must add, actually, because of the target share.
Yeah, Keon Coleman, definitely. He is the second in targets over the last 3 weeks in Buffalo. He's actually the second in targets the last 2 weeks with Amari Cooper being added. He has double the amount of targets that Amari Cooper has right now, with 14 over the last 2 weeks. So he is definitely somebody you should be adding. He is wide receiver 17 over the last 3 weeks, which is a starting wide receiver in the in fantasy football, even into wide receiver formats. So 54% of the leagues out there. He does have some tough matchups though. Miami, Indy, and KC. Not favorable, but not favorable. So it's right there in the middle of the road. Miami can shut down some wide receivers. Indy can do some things depending on who you are. And then KC, we know, is pretty good against wide receivers. So they have a pretty good secondary as well. So take that how you want it. Keon is definitely somebody I would be looking to add if he's out there.
Yep. And the last guy on our must adds, don't be disrespecting Jamus. He needs to be added. I think, in my humble opinion, that he is the number 1 target for anyone out there who has Jordan Love, who has Brock Purdy. I think this is the number 1 add if you need a quarterback. If you didn't get him last week, what were you doing? He's rostered in 6% of leagues. Dude is a baller. Quarterback 10 last week. You just like to see his energy. He's fun to watch. Listen, maybe it's just because I like to see Jamus succeed and I like to see his post-game interviews. We all saw it. It was great, right? It was the best. The NFL's better with Jamus Winston, but for your fantasy team is better with Jamus Winston as well. I started him in every league I possibly could last week, and I was happy. And you will be too, because I don't have, it's a small sample size, right? He's had one start and one drive. That's all he's had this season. But with that one start and that one drive, he's outscored Deshaun Watson probably like for the entire season. Like, I don't have that number in front of me, but I guarantee it's close. I promise you it's close. It's closer than we all think. And that's pretty sad. Jameis is out there. He's a gunslinger, man. He's got nothing to lose. Go get Jameis. I prefer Jameis.
He is 45 points behind Deshaun Watson with 6 weeks in all but one drive less time.
Yes.
So he will surpass Deshaun Watson in no time. He had a very, very good matchup against Baltimore. 41 attempts, which is great. That's what we expect from Jamus Winston, is to throw the ball a lot. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He did take care of the ball, so that is good. And if you're going to go get Tillman, you might as well get Jamus Winston and pair him up. So,
double, maybe
double dip.
Oh yeah, for sure, double dipping. And here's the funniest thing about Jameis: we do it for the decal. What do you say? We do it for. I can't, Justin. You know what I'm talking about? He says we play for
the name on your helmet,
but we don't have a
decal.
The greatest. He's the best. 4 passing touchdowns already. How much does Watson have? How many passing touchdowns does Watson have?
Watson has. Well, nope, those rushing touchdowns. That was 1 rushing touchdown. He has 5 passing touchdowns.
Jameis has 4.
So
why is he not a starting quarterback?
Browns is on the back of their helmet, so technically he was correct, but he corrected himself even though he was correct. So
why does he not have a starting job, but someone who shall not be named that you requested we don't talk about does? I don't know, but it's fine.
Who's the Browns and their backup quarterbacks? That's all I got to say.
Yep. All right, let's go to the worth. We got a little. No. Worth a look. First guy on our list, Josh Downs, 42% rostered. Had an amazing catch that really made his day. He should have. No, I guess it wasn't a touchdown. We saw it right away, by the way. Did you see that play?
Yeah, that was one of few that I saw.
It's funny because I saw that play and we were all like, drinking adult beverages, doing adult things with our medical usage. And we saw he was down instantly. I'm like, that's not a touchdown. Call it back. It's not a touchdown. And then Scott Hansen, like 30 seconds, maybe not even 10 minutes later. Oh my God, they're calling this one back, guys. Can you see it? Everyone saw it. He
was down to 1. Yeah. Great catch though. Great catch, great play. He also had that 69-yarder. Yeah, he was 9-yard touchdown. So
he's just a big play machine.
Yes.
Wide receiver 13 in the last 3 weeks. He's just a big play. And that's all you really need for Josh Downs. And even if your quarterback can only complete 25% of his passes, at least 25% of those go to Josh Downs, we're good, right? Like, we're fine. We're happy with that.
Yeah, target leader for the Colts over the last 3 weeks, or last 2 weeks since Anthony Richardson has been back. So even if you question, Josh Downs isn't getting the targets from Anthony Richardson, he still has 12 over the last 2 weeks. He has 21 over the last 3 weeks. He is the wide receiver 1 for the Indianapolis Colts.
He is moving forward, and I 1,000% agree. You need to. He almost is in that must-add situation, but
he's been a must-add twice already on this show. I didn't want to make another thumbnail. I'm running out of Josh Downs graphics to put in there. So
who's our thumbnail today? Is it Bo? Is Bo Nix our thumbnail?
No, it's not. It's Cedric Tillman.
Okay, Cedric Tillman. That makes sense. Next guy. Oh, okay. Next guy on our list, Jaylen McMillan, the underachieving rookie who did nothing last week. 9.2. Wide receiver 49. You got to keep trying with this guy. Chris Godwin and Mike Evans aren't coming back anytime soon. Godwin, not at all. Mike Evans, not until after the break. So they do need to get this guy incorporated and make sure he's fine with Baker. It was very underwhelming. How were you? Did you start him anywhere? Did you have high expectations?
I don't think I had to start him anywhere. I would have been fine to start him in the flex position. The thing about him is he is leading the team in targets since over the last 2 weeks with 15. Godwin is in second. So with 9, and then he has Sterling Shepard after that. So like he is the clear favorite. And if you even want to go back 3 weeks to when Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were fully healthy, McMillan is sitting at 4th. Oh, no, sorry. He's sitting at 2nd in targets with 16. He's even over Mike Evans by 7, and that was with a healthy Mike Evans. So healthy Mike Evans, and barely behind Chris Godwin. So he is getting the targets already. He was already getting phased into this offense, and now he is the wide receiver 1 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who'd they even play last week? They played
Falcons.
The Falcons. Okay, they got the Chiefs this week, which could be hit or miss. San Francisco, and then the bye, and then we fully expect Mike Evans to be back after the bye. So this might be the window, but it is a tough window with KC and San Francisco.
I do want to add something which I totally fumbled on our sheet, which I should have. I don't know his roster percentage, but you mentioned number 1 target, number 1 guy, number 1 receiver, whatever you want to say. Cade Otton is that guy, by the way. Cade Otton went bananas, 2 touchdowns. Baby Gronk, as everyone's calling him here in Tampa Bay right now. This guy was doing jack nothing, squat diddly until the injuries happened. And since then, since last, I'm only piggybacking on this because it's a Buccaneer topic, and I'm sorry for anyone that's cutting this, but he had 100 yards against Baltimore in the air, right? That's on 8 catches. And then he had 9 catches for 81 and 2 touchdowns. In week 6, he had 2 touchdowns, 6 targets. So, 1 touchdown, 2 catches, 6 targets. He's been involved ever since week 6. His route rate's going up. His snap share is going up. That's the guy you want to target. Like, it's kind of like the Kelsey effect, right? When you don't have anyone, you lean towards him. Cade Otton is getting those dump downs and getting those targets. So we didn't talk about him. He's not on our list, but he should have been with McMillan.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Give me like 10 seconds here. Cade Otton is rostered in 47% of the leagues. He was tight end 1 last week, tight end 2 over the last 3 weeks. So that's already a huge, like, oh my God, like Cade Otton is a stud. And I remember currently he is a stud. He is a top target. I remember talking about Cade Otton earlier in the season, and some of us, not to mention any names, were kind of down on him, thinking he was a bum. But yeah, he is definitely somebody you should consider. And Josh, look how good this production value is. Cade Otton already has the stats below us. He's already on our sheet.
Yeah, Cade Otton, he was a bum, and I would fight tooth and nail. Matter of fact, I was texting in my local radio station Cade Otton's stats and how bad he was, because our local radio station told us that he's better than Kyle Pitts. And I thought that was kind of comical. But he's better than Kyle Pitts. So Cade Otton, moving forward, tight end 1, baby. Let's go. Drop Laporta. I started Cade Otton over Laporta this week. Humble brag.
Congrats.
Oh, hey, I showed someone and he was impressed. I just want to
26 targets over the last 3 weeks. So yeah, he is leading his team in targets, including, he has the most targets over the last 3 weeks for the team. So
I would bet for any tight end. I don't have that in front of me, but I bet you it's leading all tight ends in targets since in the past 3 weeks. I don't know if you have a supercomputer to look that up, Mr. Stat Guy.
I do. He does not. Over the last 3 weeks, I'm looking at wide receivers. Hold on. He has the 4th most, tied for third. You got Brock Bowers, David Njoku, and then he's tied with Trey McBride. And Bowers and Njoku have 29 and 28. So it's not like
that's pretty good company.
Yeah, very good company in fantasy.
Very, 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 very good company. All right. Next guy on our list, we're going to go straight to Tyler Algier, Mr. Fumble Guy. I'm going to cough real quick, so hold on.
This is a guy who is being rostered in 41% of the leagues. He was running back 49 last week, running back 32 over the last 3 weeks. He only had 3.3 points last week, which is kind of a bummer, but he is getting utilization. He has 2 favorable matchups against Dallas and New Orleans this week, and then until he goes to Denver, which is not a favorable matchup. He's somebody that's worth a look. If you need a running back to fill a position, you're stretched, you're really hurting, Tyler Algier might be the guy. If you don't need him, don't go get him.
Or if you roster Bijan.
Or if you roster Bijan, yeah, that's about it.
I'm still sticking with that. All right, next on our list, we have Malik Willis. If Jordan Love misses the week, we've already seen a taste of Malik Willis. He's already scored, had top 10 games, or one top 10 game against Tennessee week 3. A little bit of a revenge game over there. He came in against Jacksonville, completed 80% of his passes. Pretty good. I would say it's pretty good for a quarterback. All quarterbacks should complete at least over 50%. Only had about
5 passes.
Huh?
He threw 5 passes, so.
Well, yeah, that's pretty good, right? Like, that's 4 out of 5, right? That's pretty good. I'd be happy with 4 out of 5.
I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
You don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying it's pretty good. His yards per attempt were 11.2. I mean, he's getting the ball down the field. He threw a passing touchdown.
That's cool. That offense does trust him. Malik has done really well with his opportunity, which is great. He was not being utilized in Tennessee really well. So yeah, no, when he's been playing, he's been doing really well. And if Jordan Love does miss this week, and you missed out on Bo Nix, and you missed out on Jamus Winston, go get Malik Willis just in case.
Just in case. Put $0. So what you do, the move here is pick whichever quarterback you like, Jamus or Bo Nix. Put the most on whoever you like the most, whether it be Bo Nix or Jamus. In the secondary, you do the same thing with the second quarterback, and you just put like a $1 bid on Malik Willis. So if you strike out on both those guys, at least you still got someone in for. Because what are the odds 3 people need a quarterback in your league? What are the odds?
Yeah, and if all 3, and you get all 3 of them somehow, then that's a good problem to have, I guess.
No, well, what you do is you drop the same player. So, like, let's say you have
Yeah.
You want to drop T. Higgins, like I'm going to do. I'm going to drop that guy. Just letting everyone know in my leagues. Prepare, and Laporte, I'm dropping that guy too. All right, next on our list. Wait, we're transitioning? Yeah. This guy's worth a stash, according to Justin, Jerry Jeudy, because of Jamus, I would assume, because he wasn't doing jack squat diddly with the former quarterback. I am okay with Jerry Jeudy being worth a stash as a wide receiver 4 with no upside. But if he's on your roster and you're worried, like, hey man, why is Cedric Tillman getting all the targets? It's Jamus's first game. We've seen him spread it around. He can throw for 400 yards in a sleep. I'm keeping Jerry Jeudy just for the fact that if you're open, Jamus is going to find you and throw you the ball. Jerry Jeudy is a very, very competent average receiver, and he's definitely worth a stash still on your fantasy team.
Yeah, he's been on the lower end of this show lately. Check back next week. Keep stashing him. He has climbed to worth a stash. He's worth actually rostering now because of Jamus Winston. So as long as Jamus Winston is throwing in the ball, Jerry Jeudy, I think, is worth keeping there. Now, the hard part is going to be, when do you actually play him? He's wide receiver 59 over the last 3 weeks. And I would expect that to go up. He gets the 3rd most targets on his team, which isn't great, but he did score 12.9 last week. So all signs lead to Jerry Jeudy actually performing soon.
I agree. Next segment. Why is this man? Why are we talking about Jaden Reed as a keep stashing? This man's a super stud, right? You would assume this guy's the best receiver on their team, right? You would assume he is the one, like the one. But he's not. He hasn't been for a little bit. It's been Romeo Doubs. Can someone tell me what the hell's going on?
Well, simple. I think Jaden Reed needs to go to the Packers organization and say, they're not using me enough, and say, hey, like, I should be getting used a lot more, and then get suspended for 1 game, because that's how you get the ball. Because Romeo Doubs said, hey, like, use me or get rid of me, and they use him now. So roster 95% of the leagues, everybody expects Jaden Reed to be the guy, but he hasn't been. Green Bay has targeted Romeo Doubs over the last 6, 7, 8. Over the last 3 weeks, Romeo Doubs has gotten 20 targets. Jaden Reed 13. Christian Watson has 12 targets. They're not using Jaden Reed though in the correct way. It's kind of, but we expect this of of Green Bay. They're going to spread the ball because they don't have a true wide receiver one. We all thought it was going to be Jaden Reed, but over the last 2 weeks, he has put up 10.5 points total. So,
yep, I agree with that. You see his target share go down and down and down. It went from week 3, 6, then 8, then 6, then 6, then 4 and 3. It's like, what happened? What happened between the coaching staff and Jaden Reed, or Jordan Love and Jaden Reed? He's your most electric player. He's your quickest player. He's your biggest playmaker. And then they just said, you know what? We're gonna give the guy who complained the ball. That's fine. It is what it is. It's just so frustrating because they have the Tucker Crafts of the world. They have the Romeo Dobbs, like you brought up before. Then you have Josh Jacobs just pounding the ball a bajillion times a game. It's one of those situations where if Jaden Reed was the one big fish in a small pond, he'd be eating good. But he's really, really, really just a medium fish in a very, very, very large pond where everyone wants to eat. So that's just where we're at with Jaden Reed. I'd hold on to him. Hopefully he does bounce back and maybe he gets targeted. Connor, what's up, man? Thanks for the sub. I really appreciate you guys. We're here every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday here at noon, breaking down fantasy content for you guys on the Finstock Sports Network and, of course, our own page, OUSFF Pod. So make sure you guys drop a like, hit a sub, share it with a friend if you do enjoy us. Next segment.
Forgot it was a different segment.
I was about to say we ain't keep stashing Michael Pittman. You can if you want, if you really are really into this upside of his that you think he may have, not you personally, but just other people. Wide receiver 93 on the year, wide receiver 51 in the past 3 weeks. This guy is just dead in the water. I'm not holding a funeral for him because we have someone else we're going to bury today. If you're new to the show, we do bury someone once a week. Sometimes they come back to life. It's not my fault zombies exist, okay? It's not my fault. But Michael Pittman has just been underwhelming and pretty much unusable. And if you're still starting him in 2024 in week 9, you need to go get Cedric Tillman because I don't know what to tell you, man. I just don't know what to tell you. What's the problem over there in Indy?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I have no answer for you, man. He's somebody that I would continue to check back next week. I don't think he's droppable yet. He's still getting a lot of targets. He hasn't seen a single game under 5 targets, and he is dealing with a back injury that should have put him on IR. But he said, F it, I'm going to keep playing. So 2.1 against Houston. He had 6 targets, 1 catch. That's not great. He is going to go up against Minnesota, which Dave, I think, would tell you that anybody can throw against Minnesota, against that secondary. So that's favorable. And the quarterback situation, I think Anthony Richardson, if he starts this week, they put a fire under him saying, hey, like, you got to turn this ship around. And if they go Flacco, then yeah, Pittman looks great. So keep watching him. I would not drop him yet. He is dead right now. 9 the last 2 weeks, but he's also faced Miami and Houston doesn't give up a lot of points to the wide receiver. So Minnesota, Buffalo, and New York coming up.
I will say this, and I don't want to harp too bad on Michael Pittman because I do like him as a player, but he's had 6 of his 8 games, or 6, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games this year, either 37 yards or below. That's kind of, it's just not startable, and it's not rosterable. You can hold on because of his name. That's fine. I don't blame you for it. But at this point, he's just as bad as he's worse than Xavier Worthy. And you're not starting Worthy if you don't want to, or if you don't have to. I put it in perspective like that. I look at players that we're all starting that I see around the league. I'm like, man, that person started him. Well, at this point, we kind of have to. Michael Pittman's hit that spot in this season of, you're starting Michael Pittman, dude. You must be down bad.
Yeah.
And we don't like to see that from Michael Pittman.
Well, I mean, we talked about it. Josh Downs is the number 1 target in Indy. He is the wide receiver 1. So now Pittman is relegated to wide receiver 2, even though he's supposed to be the wide receiver 1 on the team. He's not the big go down the field, catch the ball kind of guy. He will catch a 50-50 ball, but if we're looking down the field, we're looking at Josh Downs, we're looking at Alec Pierce, we're looking at even the guy who can't catch a touchdown to save his life, Adonai Mitchell. Michael Pittman is a shorter end guy. Like, he's he is the Michael Thomas of the Indianapolis Colts, the slants, the short balls, the 10 yards out. And that's not how the offense is getting called for the Colts with Anthony Richardson. That's just something that gets called when Joe Flacco's in there. So I don't know what the difference is here, but that's a completely different story. So again, until this can get figured out, until the offense can get a good game script, I would not be starting Michael Pittman.
Yep. Next guy on our list is a tight end, Jake Ferguson. Still rostered in 89% of leagues. Last week scored 8.3 in PPR formats. Tight end 24 on the year, which is not startable. Tight end 38 for the past 3 weeks. What's going on with Jake Ferguson, man? It seems like they love the tight end there for a long time. Although, granted, do they count bye weeks in your stats?
Yeah, over the last 3 weeks, bye weeks do count, so that does hurt him a little bit. I believe that's in those stats. I usually pull average points per game, but I don't think I did this week, which is hurtful. But I mean, if you're looking at his stats, if we're looking at full PPR points, he hasn't had a great game since week 5. 4.1 against Detroit, 8.3 against San Francisco, which is okay. He had 8 targets, 6 receptions, but only 23 yards. He's not really getting utilized to the way Jake Ferguson should be as a number 2 target on the entire team. He does have 12 targets over the last 3 weeks, 2 weeks really. So it's not awful, but it's not great.
No, I mean, here's the thing with Jake Ferguson, though. Look at last year's stats compared to this year. Everything looks better. Last year, he was playing only 30% in the slot. This year, so far, he's playing 50% in the slot, which you want to see from your tight end. You want to see them running routes, not on the line blocking. So that's been up, right? If you look at his I can't do it now because of my mouse, but if you look at his target share, it was 16.9 last year. It's up to 18.5, so that's up a couple ticks. Everything is trending up for Jake Ferguson. It just seems like that team is in shambles. And it seems like only CD Lamb can score 10,000 points in a 2-minute warning when I'm playing against them. So, and Jake Ferguson wasn't involved. He is getting more involved in this offense. It's just they're not connecting this year. So I think that's where the downfall is. I got to look. Is it the touchdowns? Do you think the touchdowns affected it that much? How much did last year he had number 1 red zone targets out of all tight ends last year. Last year he had 5 total touchdowns. That helps out a little bit. This year he's got 0 touchdowns.
I mean, if you go and look at his good games, we're talking 15 or more points. He scored a touchdown in 4 of those 5 games last year. This year he has 0 touchdowns. CD Lamb is getting everything, including in the fourth quarter when they're down a lot, and CD Lamb scores 43 points on you. Josh, I don't know if you knew that or not, but CD Lamb scored a lot of points.
I'm willing to bet it happened to me more than anyone else.
3.8 yards per reception is not good from a tight end.
Nope. It's definitely not. Last guy on our list, Zach Moss. We're still talking Zach. Does he still play football? That's the question.
Football. He still plays football.
Does he still? Because I feel like the Bengals realize that like their other running back is kind of good. And so I have not seen Zach Moss play football. I don't know when. When's the last time he was on the field? I'm being dead serious.
The last time he hasn't gotten more than 10 carries since week 4. But he's being used in the passing game with roughly 3 or 4 targets per game. Other than the game against the New York Giants where he had 0 points actually, and he carried the ball 6 times. So he's not doing great. He has a favorable matchup with Las Vegas. This is a borderline. You can go ahead and cut him, but
yeah, no, you're right.
I don't think he's dead. He's just his usage is so weird.
Call it. It's dead.
We give running backs so much leeway because they're utilized in the passing game, and Zach Moss does get utilized in the passing game.
Dude, his snap share has gone from like 79, 75, all the way down to 47, 50.
52, yeah.
Yeah, it's not looking great. His carries, how can you get into a rhythm as a running back? And this is a huge conversation in Tampa Bay as well. You have Sean Tucker be the offensive player of the week, and then the next week he plays 20% of the snaps. Then the very next week he plays like 5 snaps. How could you get a guy running well like Zach Moss can do. He's done it before. When you're not utilizing him, I think that whole offense is a mess, by the way. They're one of the most boring offenses in the world, even though they have Jamar Chase and they have Joe Burrow and they have T. Higgins. They have Mike Gesicki. They have weapons, but yet they choose to be the most boring, bland, milquetoast piece of crap offense in the world. And Zach Moss is a part of this. I can't see starting him moving forward. If you want to hold on just because you roster Brown as well, or you're just hoping for something to happen because running backs are thin, I get it. But man, he's not startable anymore at all. 0. I'm sorry.
No. Nope.
Do you want to have a funeral?
Yep.
And now, a moment of silence.
This is why I'm dressed up. It's for the moment of silence.
Yeah. I spoke about this player last night with a good friend of the show, previous co-host. I'm not sure his status is anymore, but Dave, Dirtbag Dave, miss you, buddy. We had a big conversation about him at the Lightning game about how he's just not being used. And we're talking about Jordan Addison over here. 70% people still roster him. I can't figure out why. He's not getting targeted nearly enough to be effective. He's a guy you drafted super high, not super high, but high enough where you thought he was going to be a thing. He had a good game. Week 4 was great, right? Week 4, he had 22.9 points. You thought, like, okay, Sam Darnold can get it done, baby. Sam Darnold can actually do 2 receivers for the first time in his life. Well, he's not, and he can't get the ball to him. He's not getting the ball to him. 4 targets, 3 targets in the past 2 weeks. That's not even worth looking at. Ray McLeod is on your waivers. He's doing better. Dare I say Michael Pittman's doing better? Dare I say? So Jordan Addison, if you're still the 78% of people holding on hope that he's going to do something with Sam Darnold in this offense, he's just not. You might as well drop him. Hopefully someone else picks him up and you drop a landmine because of name alone. Jordan Addison is just done for this year, and I don't see him ever getting revived. There's no Undertaker coming back this week. He's done, dead. Throw the dirt on him.
Well, and Jordan Addison even posted on Instagram, free 3, and like he doesn't want to be in Minnesota because he's not getting targeted. Can you guess the difference between Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Jalen Nailor on the season in targets?
I would say, seriously, I would say that Nailor has more targets than Addison. I'm not looking at anything, because it's not possible to have because he only has 23 targets in the season. Addison did miss some games, so that adds to it. But I would say percentage-wise, Justin Jefferson's got to be at 40%. I feel like
there has been 103 targets between those 3 players this season so far. Justin Jefferson has 60.
Ooh, so 60%.
Jordan Addison and Nailor combined for 43. And Jordan Addison has 23. He has 37 less targets than Justin Jefferson with only 1 game missed this season. 2 games missed this season.
It is. And here's the thing. He's getting targeted 5 times a game. These targets aren't quality. They're not perfect. They're not great. He only has 14 catches on the season. 2 touchdowns, which is great. We got to remember, TJ Hawkinson is not far behind from returning. And you really think Jordan Addison is going to compete with TJ Hawkinson in targets? I don't think so, man. Hawkinson's going to be the one taking over that number 2 role in that offense. So that's going to move Jordan Addison even further down the pecking order. I wouldn't be surprised if Addison does get moved. I'm not saying they will, but if in today's NFL, when players start reaching out, our social media and free number 3, stuff usually happens. And there are teams out there that need wide receiver help. The Buccaneers, the Kansas City Chiefs, although they just got Hopkins. But there's teams out there that need wide receiver help. I wouldn't put it past them if they move Jordan Addison. And if they do, then we'll go from there. But as right now, this current state, easily dead.
Yeah, I agree. Jordan Addison can pull picks. They can get really good value out of Jordan from a team that expects him to be good. He's tied with Jalen Nailor with receptions. They only both have 14. Addison has 219 yards, though, compared to Nailor's 175. 400 air yards, so like they're there. It's just he's not getting them caught. He has caught every ball that's been catchable to him, all 14 of them, which means 7 apparently are not catchable, or 9, I should say. So it's not good. It's not. And people roster him because of his name. They roster him because the Vikings offense is good. And if Justin Jefferson goes down, in theory, Jordan Addison's wide receiver 1, but Justin Jefferson has never looked better. I mean, maybe once, but he's really good. And
yep. I 1000% agree. So that's the show, man. That's the entire show. We got a new sub. We talked about a lot of players. Kate Otten, we brought him up off the top of our heads. That was great. We're going to be back tomorrow where we have a showdown. And if you're new to the show and you're just now watching in or tuning in, we take 2 players that you may have on your roster. Not like, oh, are you going to start Bijan or Brees? No, that's ridiculous. No, I mean, some people might have that option, but we're going to be more realistic about it. And we're going to talk about those 2 players in that format. And we're going to tell you who to start. I think I did good last week, by the way. You don't remember? You said you keep everything.
I do, and then I didn't keep track. I didn't do the percentages here. Okay, who did better, CJ Stroud or Russell Wilson?
Who did I say?
That's not the question. It's who actually did better last week.
Oh, who did better? I don't know.
Let's live score this. We got some time, right?
Oh, we got plenty of time.
This makes great content, which is just going to get cut out of the show anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, Stroud had 12.4 points last week.
He was trash.
That was really bad. And who was the other option again?
Last night.
Russell Wilson. So he has to be 12.4. So Russell Wilson barely 13.82, but he still got the win. So you took a L there. I took a W. Rashad White or Nick Chubb? Did White have a good game?
Oh yeah, White won.
White 15.7. Yeah, Chubb I know lost that one. So
that's
a W for you. That's an L for me.
Yep,
no, we both picked with Rashad. You convinced me to pick Rashad.
Oh yeah, that's right. I did. You're welcome. You get a half point.
Worthy or Wan'Dale Robinson?
Oh boy, well, I think Worthy did better. Wan'Dale only had 3 catches or 4 catches last night. Where Worthy definitely had 13.7.
Yep. So we both took an L there. And then Hunter Henry or Sam Laporta.
Oh, I know I went Henry, but Laporta scored a touchdown, didn't he? Dang. But Henry had a better.
Henry got 19.5, and Laporta's touchdown got him to 16.8. So Laporta took the win there. So we went. You went 1-3. I went 2-2.
You went 2 and no, you went 1.5.
I went 1-1 and
2.5,
or whatever. 2-1-1, something like that. I don't know.
I love live scoring things on here. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Justin Barley on Twitter. I made my return on Twitter, but I don't think I'm going to stay there long. So at Josh Kimmel OUS, it's trash, guys. Get off Twitter. Go to our Instagram. It is. Go to our Instagram page if we're still doing that. Instagram OUSFFPod. But more importantly, our website OUSFFPod.com. Our rankings get updated almost daily. So you can go there.
You can find it in the description of this episode for our waiver wire rankings.
You definitely can do that. It's on the link below. We'll be back tomorrow when we do the fantasy showdown. I forgot to play the music, but hey, I had a rough night last night. Tears flowing from the eyes, watching Steven Stamkos come back home in a different uniform. Yeah, they won in overtime.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we left early.
Beautiful.
Not a true fan.
So
I'm old. I'm like 40 years old, guys. Think I'm staying out in Tampa Bay past 11 o'clock at night? You got to be kidding me. We'll be back tomorrow, though, at noon. So make sure you follow us, watch us. Justin, it's been fun, dude. Make sure you wear a different jacket tomorrow. I'm wearing blue.
I will.
So don't copy me.
I'm going to wear black.
Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.